the big secret about why most people don't win their bids is compliance. And I hate to tell people that, but compliance will absolutely kill your bid if you can't be compliant.
If you're bidding like crazy in 2025 and you're not winning as many federal contracts as you would like, then in the next 15 minutes, we're going to show you what you can do in 2026 to make that change. So again, we're today here with Sarah. Hi, Sarah. How are you?
I'm good. How are you today?
I'm doing good, my friend. So obviously, we're almost at the end. We're at the end of the fiscal year, so it's Happy New Year, fiscal year. Uh, yep. Obviously, like the government right now is in a bit of a shutdown, so there's a little bit of uncertainty on that end. But we all know that the government will turn back on and start, requesting contracts again. And kind of the idea here, is like, we want to start with the hard truth, right? Like, so why don't teams win, Sarah? And I know we talk about this a lot, but we just want to reiterate it in our friendly clients' brains.
Okay. So the big secret about why most people don't win their bids is compliance. And I hate to tell people that, but compliance will absolutely kill your bid if you can't be compliant. So let's say, for instance, if Section L says that you need 12-point font and you can only have 25 pages, you have to have 12-point font and only 25 pages. If you do something like a late upload, you forget an attachment, you don't click the right box on a form, right? You can disqualify yourself before anyone ever reads your proposal at all. So we suggest building a compliance matrix and checking it over and over again. Finish your pink review, check your compliance matrix. Finish your red team review, check your compliance matrix. Is it done and you're ready to turn it in? Check your compliance matrix, right? The government sees the ability to follow instructions in the solicitation as basically sort of a test about whether or not you can follow instructions for this contract and get it done, right?
Yeah, 100%.
So that's one. Another reason that we see a lot of loss is just sort of weak customer insight, generic about us language that you don't really show that you understand the mission, generic boilerplate content. So before you start writing, capture the pain points that you think that is, shows in this solicitation. What is your success criteria? What are the hot buttons when you study this RFP, right? Understand the background of it. What are the public agencies' plans? They post everything. You can find these things. And then think about your story, right? And then weave that sort of story into your entire proposal. So it's basically strategy, right? Each proposal has its own strategy. Another reason people lost is the same thing with pricing, right? Pricing without strategy will not win you the bid. If you can't just price whatever you want. Yes, it would be nice to make $1 million, but you're not going to win that way, right? You have to have a competitive price. But if you have a price that's not realistic on the lower end either, right, you're going to ping the government as that you might be a risk factor, because the government doesn't like risk, right? And if you're like, yeah, I can do this for nothing, they're going to look at your bid kind of like, and probably find issues with it, right? So do a price to win analysis, map your labor categories and your market rates, decide where you can be lean, and differentiate where you have premium values, and really sell yourself in those, right?
No, 100%.
Another reason that I think, and this one I think is really important, actually, you get started late. So we get a lot of phone calls. I answer the phone every day and people are like, hey, I just saw this. It's been out since September, but it's due now in 6 days and it's October, right? You're way behind. And now everybody is scrambling to put together the story, to put together those compliance matrix, to figure out your pricing, right? So you're trying to do a month's worth of work in 6 or 7 days. And that doesn't mean that we can't win or that we won't do an amazing job, but did you give yourself the opportunity to do your best, right? And the answer at that point is probably not that you shouldn't go for it, but what you should start doing is having a pipeline, finding things that are in pre-RFP, knowing where things are coming out, right? You should boom, release day, you're there, right? You've
Right.
already prepped, you've already thought about these things, so you're not running behind. You've pre-positioned yourself, you responded to the RFIs, you went to the industry days, right? Those kind of things. And then you sort of like already kind of have an idea about your particular solution or your particular unique value propositions that are going to work for this particular solicitation before that RFP even drops. So I think if you can have a disciplined pipeline, right,
Yep.
then you're going to have better proposals.
100%. Yep.
And last but not least, if you don't have a disciplined proposal process, if it looks like it's built overnight, you use all kinds of generic boilerplates, put
Yep.
them in, you're going to probably miss your opportunity there, and it might even be better not to bid if you can't
Yep.
not have like a
100%.
Frankenstein proposal, right? Um,
Yeah.
so those are the big reasons that we see loss, I think.
Yeah. No. 100%. Just to summarize that up. So compliance misses, kill the bids, weak customer insight, price without strategy, late starts, and then no disciplined proposal services. And then we'll also, 'cause obviously AI is a big thing now, right? We'll put a link here at the bottom of the video that we have a video that would talk about how to use AI in government proposals. Because as some people do use AI. They just literally submit it that way. And Sarah, what is the overarching, I guess, concept of using AI? Just to take a quick side note on this of using AI with proposals.
Okay, so AI is like basically a very specific tool, right? And it's a tool. It's not an employee with critical thinking skills who's been reading about this and thinking about strategy and those kind of things. Especially like NLPs, natural language processors, right? The AI like ChatGPT. They're meant to mimic human language, so it looks like it reads really well, right? It writes great. It doesn't necessarily put content together right, and it certainly
Yeah.
doesn't problem solve your content. It can't look through the solicitation and then look at your past performance and say, this particular piece of past performance has this one little piece in it that could really showcase what you do if we talk about it this way. Now you can instruct it to do that, right? But you still have to have the strategy behind it. Like AI by itself is not going to be able to write true proposal. And AI makes mistakes. We know it hallucinates. We know it makes mistakes. And once it starts, a lot of times it spirals and you might not notice at first. And then suddenly you might have to start over a lot of parts of your
Yep.
solicitation, or you're going to submit something because if you're using AI entirely to write a proposal, what are the chances that you're really reading it and thinking about it critically, right? So you're going to turn in proposals that have mistakes in them. You're going to, good luck. I don't know why you would bother.
Yeah.
But like, you're not
Or
going
you
to,
may end up turning proposals that like that say like, hey, we can do this thing when you don't even have that thing in your business.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to have your own strategies. You have to check, but it is a good tool. You can move through, like you can write kind of sloppy and then have it clean up your writing,
Yeah.
right? Or things like that. It can generate compliance matrix. You can train it to do things. So some of that training is lengthy. But you can train it to be very helpful. It's a good tool, right? But it shouldn't be like, you shouldn't be relying on it as the thing that's going to like get you from point A to point B, right?
Yeah. No, 100%. All right, cool. So, I'm glad that was very clear, and I think that helps the audience kind of get a set of like where we're going, right? Now, from the evaluator seat, right? What earns the top scores from the government side? Like, what are they looking for?
Okay. I think I said it earlier. The government is looking for as little risk as possible. Evaluators are risk adverse, right? So show that you can follow those precise instructions, structure your document to mirror the RFP sections, and echo their terminology back to them so they can score you quickly. Think about it. They have a rubric. They're going through it, tick, 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 check, 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 right? And if you lay it out exactly like that rubric, then it's easy for them to score. You should also be thinking, I think, for earning top scores from an evaluator, like put yourself in their head. What are they looking for? So tie your approach to the measurable outcomes that you think that the end user of this is going to use, right? Like there's all kinds of things that you're going to be doing, but
Right.
what you could be doing, maybe you're building a building, or maybe you're selling something to the government. Let's say you're selling boots, right? Who's the end user of these boots? Who's going to be using this building, right? And then tie your like measurable outcomes to what you think is going to be useful to those people. Maybe it's fewer outages, higher readiness, and then replace your claims as much as possible with proof. So don't just say,
Yep.
yeah, we can do that, we're going to, but say, here's where we've done it before. Here's how much money we saved somebody. Here's how fast we got it done, right? Those data-driven pieces of information are going to make a big difference in sort of believing that you understand the mission outcome. Mapping out your past performance to match the solicitation, I think, is a really and it's also something that you can do before the solicitation, right? I was telling somebody earlier this week, make a spreadsheet of all of your I mean, I don't know how big your company is, but maybe you need a database, but put all your past performances in one place. All your past performances, when you did them, so that if they say it has to be in the last 3 years or the last 5 years, that which one are your relevant past performance there. And then put, how big was this? What was the job? How many FTEs? How big was the building you cleaned? How big was the building you built, right? What was the value of that contract, right? And have all those things as columns, in that spreadsheet. And then pick out in the standard, the SOW, right? Your work, what did you do? And actually kind of bullet point out what you did, so that when you look at one solicitation, let's say it's a janitorial solicitation and it's to clean stadiums, right? And you can scroll pretty fast and see, oh, I need something over 1 million square feet of cleaning. How many of these do I have? And then, right. And then you can go dive into a little bit deeper, maybe talk to your people who were there cleaning that building or whatever it was, about what were the little, what were the tricks that you guys did really well once you know those sort of past performance. So you got to map your past performance. You can map your past performance out ahead of time so that it becomes an easier task. I see it hold a lot of people up. I see a lot of people not being able to find the details of their past performance. So that's something you can do ahead of time. And it also is going to earn you top scores. So just saying we did this project, right? Oh yeah, I had this project. Here it is. Here's the facts about it. It was this many square feet, whatever. That's great, but it's only a part of it. You should be writing to say, this piece of past performance that we did is so much like this. We're got to be the clear choice, right? We've done this before. And then I always say, evaluator friendly formatting, right? So use the agency's headings. If they put numbers in there, numbers, those numbers should match. Your table of contents should be linking it to those headings, so it's easy to go back and forth. Put your, the IDs, the page numbers, all those things on all the pages, so that if somebody does print this thing out and they drop it, they're trying to put it, it's weird little things like that I think can go a long way.
Gotcha. Yeah, no, 100%. And I think, again, just to reiterate that, right? Just going back to zero risk compliance, making sure that your stuff is mission outcome, best value, make sure that you're clear on everything that you're putting on there. Past performance, that maps, again, really important, not just to say it, but just prove it, because again, it's the government, they want to know, right? And like you said, right, formatting that's friendly, and I think it's super useful for everybody to have on their proposals. Awesome. All right, Sarah. So now, you either win or lose, obviously, in a government contract. How do you get better every round after you submit a proposal?
Okay, yeah. So first, I say take the time as a company to look at what you did and then reflect on it, right? Try to figure out why you didn't win this bid. Ask for a debrief, right? Capture verbatim, if possible, the weakness and deficiencies, whatever it was that caused you to lose, right? And then tag them for later looking at for your process fixes. Was it our pricing? Okay, we knew we need to work on pricing. Yep. Was it staffing? Were we non-compliant? What happened, right? And then create a sort of lessons learned library. So maybe a 1 page of notes for each bid that you could just sort of store in your digital system with that bid that you submitted, right? What helped? What was good? What hurt us? What was a change that we're going to make, on the next one? And then review those changes before you start the next proposal, right? Put those in your plan. And track your solicitations. What is your win rate? What is your win rate by agency? What is your win rate when you partner with this person, right? What is our win rate in this particular area? And then look at where you're winning and double down where you win. And then stop chasing the places that you don't win, right? Because you're just wasting time and energy. Get really good at this thing and get a couple of good contracts on, right? Or more before you go expanding.
Okay, Sarah. So I think that's been really useful and like good information for everybody to have. Now, obviously, we're a company that writes government contracts. How do we fit into this ecosystem of helping companies win more government contracts in 2026?
Okay, so we're a proposal management and writing company, right? So uh, because we write and manage, and a lot of times we work with the same companies over and over again, right? We are a sort of a part of that business development team. We help with those strategies. We help with understanding why we won, why we lost, knowing which past performances to use, helping you build that past performance library, right? And then applying it when it matters the most, when it's time to write the solicitation. So, you know, all of the people that I work with at SAS-GPS, we are all working government contracting, proposal writing specifically, and tracking and pipelining all day, every day. We don't have other jobs to do. This is what we do, right? So we are experts on it. Just if nothing else, but because that's all that we do, right? I don't have to go worry about like I'm not a subject matter expert that happens to be sitting in. The subject matter experts that we are is about proposals, right?
Right.
So we can help you capture, then tell that story that you need to tell in the way that the government wants to read it so that you score highest and win.
Yeah. Yeah. I got you. No, that's perfect. And then what is our ideal customer? Like, who are we looking to work with? Like, if you could, say.
Well, we'll work with pretty much anybody. I have like several different sort of like, I guess, types of ideal customers. Ideally, you have some, it's a pretty rare solicitation where you don't have to have any past performance to win. So I'd say that that's probably the biggest one is that when I'm looking at solicitations, I like to determine for the client whether or not we have any chance of winning this thing, right? If I don't think that you can win at all, I don't want to take your money. I would like to advise you to do something else so that you can set yourself up to win, right? And I think I have to break that hard news to people the most when they're companies that are literally have no past performance. They don't, at all. And you just simply can't. You're going to need a team with somebody, or you're going to need to do some private past performance, or there's a whole slew of business development activities that you can do, but you're not going to go win a multi-million-dollar federal contract with no past performance, at all. So past performance is like, I guess my ideal client has some past performance.
Yeah. No, for sure.
Yeah. And, and that's really it. Like we can work with anybody. We work with Fortune 500 companies. We step in as, just helping with compliance, right? Or doing a red team review, all the way to handling it from literally pipeline, where I'm tracking these projects. We're seeing them come out. We're putting them on our calendar. We have full-time staff that work with the same companies over and over again. And we're handling it from top to bottom, very little input at that point from the companies. Obviously they're reading it, checking it. And we have a couple of meetings, but we already know the companies inside and out. We know all their past performance, right? We just get together with the particular solutioning, share some thoughts, and knock these things out. So I hope, does that answer your question?
Absolutely. That sounds amazing, right? So again, if your team's stuck and you guys have been losing, you guys have been getting a lot of close calls, essentially what we're trying to say is we're the fix. So please subscribe to the video. Again, if anybody wants to message us, they can message Sarah directly on SAS-GPS.com. Again, she'll be able to help you guys out. And yeah, if there's anything that you guys have questions on, please leave them in the comments below. We'll be happy to answer them. And we'll see you guys next time.